Hello, and welcome to the show. The name is Stoneman, but you can call me Travis. Welcome to Late Nights, a podcast run by yours truly, the man of stone himself. Today, I have a very special story for you all. It is an original piece written by my mother, who goes by the name Shell212 on YouTube. This is her first upload, and I am very thankful that I get to be the one to read it. Thank you, Mother. It is a spooky story, so grab your comfort pillow and a blanket and get snug like a bug in a rug for this one. This story is titled Warming House. Let's get into it. My name is Shell, and I'm 12 years old. I live with my parents and cousins. My cousins are a little older than me and we get along. Well, the boys at least. Not my oldest cousin, Nelda. For some reason, she scolded me. She was only 4 years older, but she was in charge when my parents were out. During the winter, I would play hockey with the boys. We lived in a small town, but we still managed to make good ragtag teams. We had our own playoffs and trophies that we made out of old pucks that we couldn't use anymore. I was tough, just as tough if not more than most of the boys. I was a fierce hockey player, and they all respected me as such. We played every day during the winter time. I also liked to figure skate, but I usually did that in the morning before anyone got up. Once we got cold enough and started shivering, we would make our way to the warming house. It's basically a shed with an electric heater in it to warm us up. We would spend a lot of time in there. It was sort of our hangout spot. My cousins Joey, Jake, and Chip would hide liquor and cigarettes in the floorboards under the bench. They would smoke and drink while we were in there, but I never did. I would take a sip of booze if it was a really cold day, just to warm up. I liked the warming house. It gave us a little peace from the hectic life at home. My parents are stoner, free-loving hippie types. Gross. I don't want to live like that when I'm older. While they work or go out, we are stuck with Nelda. Like I said, she's only 4 years older, but she acts like she owns the place. I will always remember the night I spilled the soup. Let's just say I still have nightmares of falling down that staircase. My parents and I shared the upstairs of the house while all of my cousins were downstairs. Nelda had a friend named Georgia. She was over a lot and even spent the night. Georgia and Nelda were a duo of pretty posh bitches. They hated getting dirty. One time, I took Nelda's Barbie and shoved its head into the mud as retaliation for her and Georgia holding me down and putting globs of butter in my hair. After the spilling incident, Georgia tried tripping me while I had cereal in my hands. I shot her a dirty look. I loathe you, I thought. It is now December, and it was a cold, gloomy morning. I woke up to my parents having sex again. I tried covering my head with the blankets, but that didn't help. I eventually snuck out once my mother started screaming. Of course, they never heard me leave. I looked out the window, and it was snowing heavily. The boys weren't awake yet, so I decided to go to the rink early. This time, not to ice skate, but to read. This is usually the only time I could read in peace. As I was walking to the rink, I saw some fresh tire tracks. Then I spotted a pair of boot prints leading into the warming house. Odd, I thought. Who would be here this early? I put my foot in the tracks and they were huge. I walked up to the shed and the door was shut tight. I opened it and the light from the door illuminated the inside of the shed. As my eyes were adjusting, I noticed something in the corner. It looked like a pile of clothes or something. I got closer and started to actually realize what it was. It was a body, cold and frozen stiff, lying on her side. I was shocked, but curiosity took over. I flipped the body. "Georgia?" I said as her face turned to me. Then out of her mouth came a vile green liquid, and it splattered all over my purple jacket. It stunk, putrid and rancid. Her eyes were blue and frozen solid and wide open. I don't know what came over me, but I touched her open eye. I also felt the need to touch her hand. She felt like a frozen piece of meat. I didn't feel much seeing her like this. I was always told that you get what you deserve, and well, I guess she got hers. But a subtle feeling started to creep up in me. Fear. Who did this? Are we safe? Am I safe? As I finished that thought, I heard a familiar wailing sound. It was a baby crying. It sounded far away, but it was getting louder and louder and closer and closer. It was soon the only thing I could hear, and I was freaking out. At the same moment, the door to the shed busted open. I thought I was going to black out, but I saw Joey standing there instead. He looked at me in a panic, then Georgia, then me again, and finally settled on Georgia. "What did you see? Who did this?" he said as his head twists to me. I was spinning. "No, I found her like this when I got here. We need to tell the cops right now." He just stared at her without saying a word. Then I saw him mouth the words, "I love you." What the? I couldn't finish that thought because Joey darted out of the door right after that. I chased after him immediately. He ran straight to Georgia's house and started pounding on the door. "We found her! We found Georgia!" She had been missing for 3 days. The mom answered the door with tears streaking down her face and a slight smile that quickly sunk. She thought we found Georgia alive. "Where is she?" Joey looked at me. Then the mother looked at me. I told her exactly how I found her. "She's dead," I finally said. She just glared at me with tears in her eyes. Then out of nowhere, I felt a slap on the face twice. I immediately started crying and ran home. Soon after I got home, we got a knock on the door. It was the police, and of course they wanted to talk to me. "Shell, we need to ask you a few questions," the officer said. "Okay," I managed to squeak out. Then the second officer spoke up. "Shell, did you move the body?" I think so." "Why?" "I don't know. She was on her side and I flipped her on her back." "Why would you do that?" "I guess I wanted to see if she was actually dead." The first officer nudges the second and nods towards my purple jacket that had been splattered with green liquid. I forgot about that entirely. The second officer speaks up again. "Is this your jacket?" "Yeah," I said shyly. "How did you get that green stuff all over it?" "It came out of her mouth when I flipped her." "It seemed she was poisoned. Do you know anything about that?" "No, of course not." "That appears to be antifreeze on your jacket." "I just know that it stinks," I said quietly. I noticed the look on the first cop's face, and I knew what he was going to ask next. "Did you kill Georgia, Shell?" "No, I didn't." I told them everything I could remember. "Her parents say you two fought a lot. Is that true?" Yes, but I didn't kill her. You should ask her boyfriend. They were always fighting too." That just blurted right out of my mouth. "Really?" the second cop responded. "We'll have to look into that." The first cop spoke up. "Why were you at the rink so early?" "I like to skate by myself in the mornings." It was peaceful, I thought. "What was Joey doing there?" "I don't know." I was wondering the same thing. "You're telling us the truth, aren't you?" "Yes." "We also found booze and cigarettes in a hiding spot. Do you know anything about that?" "No, I'm too young for that." "Whose is it?" "I don't know." I lied, of course. The first cop finishes writing in his pad and nudges the other cop and points at his watch. "All right, those are all the questions we have for you now. If you think of anything else, you tell your parents, okay?" "Sure," I said. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept having nightmares of a baby crying that I couldn't see, and Georgia giving me a look of fear I've never seen on her face before. I swear, even after I woke up, I could hear a baby crying in the distance. It was subtle but obvious. I got out of bed and followed it. I walked into the hallway and heard it coming from the bathroom, but the door was closed and the light was on. I heard splashing and crying, splashing and crying. I reach for the doorknob and turn it, splashing and crying, splashing and crying. The knob clicks open and the door creaks. Everything just stopped. I opened the door and the light was on, but no baby, no water in the tub, nothing. I turned the light off and went back to my room. I was able to fall back to sleep for the rest of the night. I woke up a little later than I usually do to the sounds of shouting downstairs. It's Nelda. She's taking her grief out on the household. The boys came upstairs and told me we should go out and play now. I didn't hesitate and got my winter clothes on. The boys and I immediately head out to the warming house, though now it feels different. Somehow I felt older walking back into the shed. The energy was gone, dragged out along with George's body, I think to myself as I look at the corner where I found her. Joey turned on the heater. "It'll warm up pretty quick," he said. Joey sat down and Joey sat down and looked at the corner. It's creepy in here now. No, it's not, I said with a slight hesitation. It's the warming house. This is our hangout. The words came out, but I didn't feel them like I did before. I hear they're going to tear it down, Chip said, looking at his feet. Because of what happened? Asked Jake. Of course, said Joey without hesitation. You didn't see the old lady's face when Shell told her what happened. It made my stomach churn. It's not like she was killed here, though, right? I said. Chip looked at me with slight confusion. How do you know that? I don't, but I have a feeling. We were here the day before I found her, and the cops said she was dead for some time. I think she might have been placed here after the fact. The boys just looked at me like I was a little detective. But why? Joey asked. Who would want to kill Georgia? Chip asked. All three boys turned to look at me. Really? I mean, I hated her, but murder? I protested. All right, I need to tell you all something that I didn't tell the police. When I found her body, I heard a baby crying. But when Joey busted in, I forgot all about it. After I finished that sentence, I looked up at Joey. Hey, what were you doing there so early? I asked him. As he started talking, I heard it again. The crying. This time it sounded like it was right behind me. I looked at the boys' faces. I could tell that they couldn't hear it. Joey just kept talking, and Chip and Jake were drinking and listening. The crying just continues right behind me. I was frozen in fear. I wanted to look around, but I couldn't. Eventually, the crying gets closer to me. I'm now clenching every muscle in my body. I hear a moaning and gurgling sound. Don't let him get away with it. Make him pay. Then I felt it. A hand on my shoulder, cold as ice, even through my coat. A flash of colors went through my head. Greens, blues, reds, and then finally black. My vision came back and I could move again. No hand, no more baby, and Joey was still talking. The boys must have noticed something wrong, because they all looked at me with a face of worry. Did you hear any of that? Jake asked me. No, something just happened. I explained the situation I was just in. Chip spoke up and said it sounded like sleep paralysis. But I wasn't sleeping, I said. We all sat in stunned silence. Finally, I broke it with a question. Joey, was Georgia pregnant? I don't know, he said quietly. Well, you loved her. Isn't that what you said that day? He shot me with a stare that cut me right in half. Shut up, he said loudly. What, you and Georgia? Chip responded quickly. How come we didn't know about this? I thought we hated her. She was a total bitch to me, I said. Well, she was nice to me, Joey said, staring at his feet. Yeah, real nice, I bet, I said sarcastically. It wasn't like that. I had to ask the question at the top of my head, at the top of everyone's head. Did you? Before I could get the rest out, Joey locks eyes with me and yells, I did not kill her. Jake spoke up a little heated. Then you need to tell us what's going on. The whole truth. Joey gave in. Fine. This passage is from Joey's perspective. About 6 months ago, I started to think that Georgia was pretty, and she was being really nice to me. We would sneak out to see each other, walk and talk, you know? We talked about all sorts of things. She seemed different, not so snotty anymore. Towards you, I said semi-under my breath. We were starting to get really close, Joey continued. One day, I walked her home, and her dad was sitting there waiting for her. He had the most furious look on his face. I had never seen him like that before. He looked at me and told me to go home, then grabbed Georgia's hand so hard I thought he was going to rip it off. She screamed in pain. Her mom was just watching from the window crying. I stood my ground and told him to stop. He walked up to me and punched me right in the gut. Georgia tried to pull him off, but he ended up elbowing her in the gut. She grabbed her stomach, and with a gasp of air, she yells, Daddy, my baby! Shut up, you dumb bitch, he yelled at the top of his lungs. He pulled her into the house, and before slamming the door, told me to never come around here again. That was 3 weeks ago, Andy finished. So, she was pregnant? I said, dazed. Was it yours? Chip asked. No, we never had sex. We were just starting to have feelings for each other. What about her boyfriend, Chad? Was it his? I asked softly. It was clear Joey wanted the questions to stop. I don't know. She never told me she was pregnant, Joey said with tears welling up. I didn't know. I think we should get out of here now. We could use some fresh air, Chip suggested. Joey left the warming house light on for Georgia when we left. The rest of the night was pretty uneventful. Nelda was napping by the time we got home, so I went upstairs to read for the night. I was starting to get drowsy as I read. I didn't really feel tired, but my eyes got heavier and heavier. I had no choice but to close them. Then I opened them. Now I was laying down in my bed, stiff and unable to move, paralyzed. The air felt heavy and freezing cold. I could feel warm breath on my neck, but I couldn't turn my head to see who it was coming from. I closed my eyes again. I thought that would help, but instead I felt a hand caress my cheek, then a sudden pain in my face, like I just got hit point blank with a hockey puck. I woke up in a panic and ran to the bathroom to look at my face. I had a huge red handprint across my cheek and eye. It hurt so bad I couldn't help but to tear up. I wiped my eyes, then looked in the mirror. She was behind me. Her face looked melted and wet. I hear a whisper escape her dangling mouth. He can't get away with it. Make him pay. Who? I immediately responded in a panic. She just stood there crying. I heard the faucet in the tub turn on and I turned my head to look. It was filling up with red water. Blood? Then I heard the crying again, wailing as if it were right in my face. I turned to look at Georgia, but she was gone. I turned back to the tub and the water stopped. Then I realized I wasn't in my bathroom. This was a stranger's bathroom. After I finished that thought, I woke up for real in my bed, a cold sweat all over my body. It's still night and everyone is asleep. I threw the blankets over my head and passed back out. I woke up at 10, way later than usual, but I could hear the boys downstairs watching wrestling. I grabbed some cereal and went to go sit next to them. Nelda patted the couch next to her and asked for me to come sit here instead. I said I would like to sit with the boys. She glared at me and asked again, this time less polite than before. I could see the boys start to tense up. I walked over and sat next to her. She threw her arm over me. Why don't you hang out with me for a change? You're always with them. I'm really missing Georgia right now. She shot a look at me like she wanted to slap me for some reason or another. I think it was Jake who popped up and asked Nelda if we could go sledding. The rest of the boys chimed in. Yeah, can we? I want to go, can we? Please, I say, looking up at Nelda. Fine, Nelda agreed as she pushed me off the couch hard. Once we were alone, I told the boys what I experienced last night. But what does it mean? Asked Joey. It means she had a nightmare, Chip said. It felt like more than that, like what happened in the warming house, I said. I think she's reaching out to me. What, from beyond the grave? Jake said through a laugh. Maybe we should see her parents, Joey suggested. You mean we should go and you stay as far away from her dad as possible, Chip replied, pointing at me and Jake. Right. I just think we should give our condolences. She was over a lot, Joey said. For Georgia, I quickly snipped. They've always been so nice to us. They invited us to her 15th birthday in July. We at least have to go over and say sorry, Joey said. Again, you mean us, right? Jake corrected. Of course. Chip, Jake, and I all walk over to Georgia's house. I could feel the tension between the three of us. I knew we were all nervous about this after what Joey told us about Georgia's dad. We get to the bottom of their front porch and look at each other wondering who's going to knock. We played a quick game of rock, paper, scissors to decide. Jake was the one to go up and knock while Chip and I waited behind him. He knocks twice, but no answer. Their car is in the garage, so they should be home. He knocked again. A few seconds later, we heard shuffling inside coming towards the door. The locks on the door click open. Click, click, click. Finally, the door creaks open, just enough so that we could see a face of a sad woman peeking out from behind the door. Yes? What do you want? She said with a whimper. Jake spoke up with a cracked voice. We wanted to say we're sorry about Georgia's passing. She spent a lot of time at her place with our sister. They were best friends. Where is she? She's been couch-ridden since we found out. I replied from behind Jake. You didn't like her. She pointed a frail finger at me. We disagreed a lot, I said. As we were standing in the doorway, I was able to get a glimpse of inside the house. Plenty of pictures on the wall of a happy family. Lots of tacky knickknacks everywhere. Then something came up, and I got the urge to ask, "Can I use the bathroom? I didn't go before we left, and I can't hold it anymore." By my surprise, she said yes. She opened the door and welcomed us in as she wiped her face. "Go ahead, it's right up the stairs to the left." "Thank you so much." "Oh, but be quiet. Brian is sleeping up in our room. George's dad." "Okay," and started my way up the steps. They were covered in a teal-colored carpet. The picture on the walls continued up the staircase. So many nice pictures of a peaceful family at different events. Boy, George's mom really likes to drink. She's got a wine glass in almost all of these pictures. I rounded the steps and saw the bathroom. It was the first door in the hall, and in the back of the hall were the bedrooms. I could hear snoring coming from a closed door. I get into the bathroom, and I'm hit with an overwhelming sense of déjà vu. But I've never been here before. I've never even stepped foot in this house before. I use the bathroom and go to wash my hands. The sense of déjà vu is so prominent now. Maybe I'm getting sick? I turned on the water, then look up at the mirror, and it hit me. This was the bathroom in my dream. How could I dream of a place I've never been before? I finish washing my hands and look at the tub. It's the exact same one I saw in my dream, minus the blood water rushing out. Just out of curiosity, I ran the tub for a second. It was water, regular water. I turned to wipe my hands with the towel. I saw a big spot of bleach on it. They aren't that perfect, I said to myself. I finished up and headed back downstairs. I heard George's dad say something from the room. "Is that you, Georgia? Come give your daddy some love, baby." I rushed down the steps quickly and quietly, hoping he'll just fall back to sleep. I get back downstairs as the boys are finishing up some lemonade. "I think we should go now. We've taken enough of their time," I said, looking slightly behind me up the steps. The boys wash their glasses out, and we all head out the doorway. "Thank you for the lemonade," the boys say in unison. "Thank you," I said as we left, looking at the glass of wine she had in her hand. As we left the property, I glanced up to the upstairs windows. I saw George's dad standing in the window staring at us. Staring at me. We walked for a while and met back up with Joey. Then the town cop pulled up next to us. He rolls his window down and stops us. Hey kids, can I ask you a couple questions?" "Okay," Joey says. "Have any of you seen Chad lately?" "No," we all said. "Well, he skipped town and no one knows where he ran off to. If any of you knew anything, you would tell us, right?" "Yes," we said in unison again. "Good. And if you see him, tell him we're looking for him and that he should turn himself in." "What for?" I said. "George's murder. We think it was a domestic dispute over her baby. He took it out on her and tried to make it look like she took her own life. On second thought, maybe I shouldn't be telling you that." He rolled up his windows and drove off. We all looked at each other speechless. "She was pregnant," I said. All three of my cousins looked at me with the strangest looks. "And you knew," said Jake. "Knew that she was from a dream," Joey finished. They continued to look at me like I was crazy. "What? Stop staring at me like that. Shell, what else do you remember from your dream?" "I remember a smell? Like the green stuff?" Chip asked. "No, more like bleach," I said with a hint of realization. "I did see a big bleach splotch on their hand towel, but I figured it was from a laundry incident. We were used to that in our house." "I think we should head to the warming house. We need to make a plan," Joey said, with a tone of determination. The rest of us were confused and lost, but we headed to the warming house anyways. We get in and close the door, start the heater, and pull up our chairs. Chip pulls out the booze and cigarettes, and we start our meeting. "What happened to Chad?" I said. "He has family in South Dakota," Chip said. "Do we believe that Chad could do something like this?" asked Jake. We took a vote. It was 3-1. Joey raised his hand towards Chad. "I don't know what to believe anymore," he said with a sigh. We've all known Chad most of our lives. I couldn't see him doing this. Sure, they argued a lot, but this isn't him. So who then? I asked. Shell, you said you saw boot tracks in the snow. How big were they? I tried to make an outline in the snow around my shoes as close as I could remember. Something like that? I said. Those are too big for any of us, even Chad. Chip, what size boot do you think George's dad wears? He's a big guy. I'm not sure, but they are big. He towers over our parents, at least. I don't know. Her dad? If we can't see Chad doing that, what makes us think someone as nice as him would do it? Joey spoke up after some time. You didn't see him that day. He was a completely different person. He called his own daughter a dumb bitch and hit her in the belly knowing she was pregnant. A good person doesn't do that, no matter who you are. That's it then. We sneak into the house and look for evidence, Chip said with a look of seriousness on his face. The rest of us looked at him strange, but we knew he was right. Nothing else is adding up. We sat in silence for a while until Chip started pouring up shots. When do we do this? They won't be home on Monday. Joey dropped his head. That's 2 days from now. He's probably already hidden all of the evidence. Shell, do you think you can get a dream going and ask Georgia where the evidence is? Jake said with a slight chuckle. I don't know if it works like that. I think she comes to me. Well, maybe we should call it a night. It's getting late, Jake suggested. I fell asleep naturally tonight. No mystic, supernatural energy needed. And there she was. She didn't look like the last times I saw her. She was pretty. She looked like Georgia. She sat down next to me on my bed, looking right into my eyes. I need you to find my baby, she said. Her voice is so soft and quiet. The cellar. That's where she is. The cellar. She stood up off my bed and gave me a kiss on the forehead. I'm sorry for the way I treated you, she said softly. I am too. She slowly disappears in front of my eyes. I hurriedly got up to check the time. It was 1 a.m. I got up and snuck downstairs as quiet as possible. I had to tiptoe past Nelda's room to get the boys. I got to Joey first and woke him up. Oh, what's going on? We need to get into the cellar. What? Why? What's down there? He says as he's rubbing his eyes. I don't know, but that's what Georgia told me to do, so I have to. She needs us to find her baby. Oh, okay, sure. Whatever you say, Shell. He goes to wake up the other two. No! The less of us, the better. One to go in and the other to watch. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, let's get our winter gear on. Fortunately for us, it ended up getting warmer over the night. I guess tomorrow is supposed to feel great. We walked all the way to George's house while trying not to get spotted by the cop on patrol. We get to the house and head to the garage. We were able to lift the garage door just enough for us to get under. Joey put a cinder block under it to keep it up. We brought a pair of flashlights and started searching for a cellar door. We heard the door to the garage start to open, and we shut our lights off as fast as we could. We got down on all fours and crawled underneath the car, trying to stay as quiet as we possibly could. Footsteps started to approach the car. I heard a noise that sounded like a clicking sound. A gun? I thought. Then I hear a can drop on the floor, and slurping sounds following suit. A beer can. I think whoever it is drinking beer. They stepped toward the car again and opened the passenger side door, and got in. Then closed it and started the engine. Weird, I thought. He got into the right side and started the car? As the car turned on, the headlights illuminated a hatch on the other side of the garage. I patted Joey and pointed at it. He nodded in agreement. After a few minutes of waiting, it didn't seem like the car was going to move, and we still don't know who was in it. After a long wait under the running vehicle, I decided to get a look at what's going on. I slid my body to the side of the car and lifted myself up slowly, peering into the window, trying to get a glimpse of who was in it. It was George's dad. He was drinking beer and sitting in this running car at 1 a.m.? How strange. After a little bit of time, I see him tilt his head back and close his eyes. This is my chance to get into that cellar. I signaled Joey to let him know the plan. I then started army crawling my way to the cellar doors just to the left of the car's headlights. As I crawl, I keep looking back over my shoulder to see if I am in his line of sight, but he still had his head back and eyes closed, no longer drinking. Maybe he fell asleep. I get to the cellar doors and they were unlocked. I spotted a shovel sitting next to it with a little red stain on the back of the shovel head. I ignored it for now and opened the cellar doors as quietly as possible. A tiny squeal came out, but you couldn't hear it over the car engine. I opened the door just enough for me to slide right in. I lowered the door back down over my head. I am now in a pitch black room with a staircase heading down. I turn on my flashlight. It is creepy down here, I thought, as I make my way down the steps, ever so lightly and slowly, each step giving off a little squeak or crack as I near the bottom. I hear that familiar sound again, a soft cry of a baby, only this time it's echoing, almost like it was in a deep cave. I stepped closer, one more step to go. I planted my foot onto the rough dirt floor of the cellar. It wasn't a big room, but it was definitely bigger than a closet. I could see the whole layout with my flashlight. As I look around the cellar, I spotted a little mound of dirt towards the center. Loose dirt, like someone recently dug something up. Or buried something. I walk towards the loose dirt pile, but trip on another small mound of dirt. This wasn't loose though. It was patted down on top of something. I started digging with my hands. I got about 6 inches down and saw what looked like a garbage bag wrapped around something. My curiosity got to the better of me and I kept digging and started pulling the bag out. I pulled the bag out of the hole completely. It wasn't heavy. It felt like a bag of rocks or sticks or something. I opened it up. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Teeny, tiny bones. An animal? I thought. But that... I didn't spend a lot of time paying attention in class, but I know a human skull when I see it. But this one was much too small. No, I gasped. It can't be. As the words left my mouth, I heard a creak from the steps behind me. I turned in a panic, but it was only Joey. He left. He left the car and went back into the house. So I came down to see what you found. I don't want you to see what I found, I said quietly. He approached me some more. Please, he said, I need to see it. I handed him the bag. This isn't right. The baby wouldn't be this decomposed already, he said, trying not to vomit. I tensed up when he said it, and I looked hesitantly around the cellar. The other mound of loose dirt, I said out loud. Joey looked and saw what I was talking about. He bolted in its direction, falling to the ground, digging furiously. Then he stopped and started sobbing uncontrollably. I knew what he found. I knew what it was before I saw it. It was another baby, but fresher. The thought almost made me throw up. We have to go get the police. Tell them about this, I said. Joey nodded in agreement. We decided to rebury the bodies just in case someone decided to come back down. We ran up the cellar stairs and out of the garage. The car was off and the lights were out. Now we were sprinting home. As we came around the corner of our street, the town cop was parked right there. We run up to his car and bang on his window. He rolls it down with a big yawn like he was sleeping. Oh, what's going on? He rubbed his eyes. It was her dad. You have to search the cellar. What? He replied with another yawn. George's dad killed her. He buried her baby in the cellar. There are bones, too. Holy shit, kids. That's a bit crazy, don't you think? Joey went into explaining the event he saw with her dad. He hurt her and he knew she was pregnant? That's got to account for something. The cop got on his radio and called it in. You two should get home. I have a feeling you're going to have a long few weeks coming up. Sunday came and went. George's parents were taken out of their house in handcuffs along with the bodies. The trial finally came and they were the longest days of my life. We had to sit in court and testify against George's dad. Joey went up to the stand and gave his testimony of the incident he witnessed. The dad never denied it. He looked tired, exhausted, depressed. As well as the 2 deceased babies, they found a dog, a cat, and a teen male's body buried in the backyard. The coroner determined it was Chad. He never ran off at all. He was there the whole time. Apparently George's dad didn't like that they were together. The judge read his offenses and finally finished with, "This court finds you guilty of murder and the conspiracy to cover it up, as well as sexual and physical abuse towards your daughter. You are sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole." George's mother also testified. She claimed she knew this was happening and didn't do anything. "He spent most nights in her room. I didn't know what he did with the babies, though. I didn't want to," she said, crying hard. She was also found guilty. Not doing anything to stop the horrible crime is a crime in of itself. A heavy feeling lifted off of me when the trial broke. I couldn't help but to glance at the crowd watching. I saw a familiar face staring right back at me. Georgia. Only this time, she was glowing beautiful and holding a baby girl in her arms. I see her mouth the words, "Thank you," but it sounded like she was right next to me. "You're welcome." And that is the end of our story. Give a big round of applause for my mother, everybody. Thank you for sharing this with me, and I love you very, very much. Thank you for anyone who stuck around and listened to the whole thing. I super appreciate it. We super appreciate it. That is the end of the show. Thank you very much, and we will see you in the next one.